Okay, I just got the chance to see Rise of the Planet of the Apes, and I thought I'd let you guys know what I thought about it. Now, when I first heard about this project, I wasn't that excited because, the whole Planet of the Apes franchise seemed to have run out of gas a long time ago with the TV series, and even Tim Burton's attempt at a remake wasn't that very well received. But as more and more news from this movie started being leaked out, I became more and more interested in it until finally, when the trailer hit, I just became really, really excited about what this movie is going to be. And let me tell you something: I was not after seeing it tonight. I was not disappointed in the least. Rise of the Planet of the Apes is the best movie I've seen so far this year. Yeah, it takes place in unlike the other movies, which for the most part took place in an undetermined future, distant future. This movie takes place in either the modern day or or just a slightly advanced future, what some people might call next Sunday AD. Oh, anyway, the main human character is a scientist played by James Franco, who is in charge of trying to create a gene therapy that will allow the brain to repair itself and maybe even be a cure to Alzheimer's disease. And since his father, played by John Lithgow of Third Rock from the Sun fame, suffers from Alzheimer's, he has a stake of his own in the success of this medicine. The, well, as is usually the case in drug trials, they've been testing the medicine on primates, and one primate who act for reasons I am not going to reveal becomes violent and sabotages an attempt to get human testing of the same medicine, which results in all of the apes but one being put down, and the one ape that escapes is a young baby who will later be known as Caesar, is actually rescued by the Franco character and brought back to his home, where Franco raises him partially as if he was a partially as if he was a real young boy, which later in the movie shows some very serious conflicts. Now, the human actors in this movie are all very good. Although I would love to see some more interplay between James Franco and John Lithgow. They are very strong in their characters, Lithgow especially. But the real star of this movie is Andy Serkis. Now, Andy Serkis is best known for playing parts where you've never seen his face. He was Gollum in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and he's also playing Gollum in the Hobbit movies coming out. And he played King Kong in Peter Jackson's remake of that movie. And he plays Caesar through the very same technology, the performance capture, where he would jump up on a sound stage with all sorts of sensors attached to his body and face, and he is so convincing as the ape Caesar. You can see every emotion, everything. This is a real performance. This is a real good performance. He is totally believable, even in such a fantastic story. And I really can't think of too many problems I had with this movie. The one thing that does kind of bug me a little bit is how so much of the morality is in terms of black and white. There's James Franco and Frieda Pinto, and John Lithgow. These are the good humans, and then there's Brian Coxon and the evil executives at the company that Franco works for, and the abusive people at an animal shelter. These are the bad humans. But in its own way, that kind of makes sense because by the end of the movie, when Caesar leads a revolt of apes against mankind, you really want to that this is the sort of action sequence that could really become a misfire some because in our own way, no humans don't really want to root against themselves. Some people just like Avatar for that reason, but this movie balances the morality so in such a good way. We we actually find ourselves rooting for the apes, even when we know that the humans themselves aren't really to blame entirely. No, as this is a prequel of sorts to the Planet of the Apes, we get the obligatory references to the other characters in the future and current movies. I mean, we see a newscast about a spaceship called Icarus taking off into space, and later we see what may be an update on that same story, which once again I will not reveal to you. We have one of the apes in the shell in the shelter where Caesar is eventually sent. Her name is Cornelia. We have the chimpanzees working with the orangutans, working with the gorillas, also from the Planet of the Apes, and in one in the way the movie works with these things, the special effects are fantastic. The way we never doubt that we're seeing these various apes, sometimes even when they're right alongside humans, and as the movie goes on, all of the apes' behavior, even when the apes can have their intelligence supercharged by the use of these drugs, they still behave in an ape-like manner. I mean, it's not just like bad. You get a zap of drugs and then you're just walking upright, talking, all of that stuff. Yeah, this is a gradual thing, and just the way the movie shows how these apes can eventually gain intelligence, then use it to their own advantage is extremely well thought out. This is a very, very smart movie. This is something we rarely see. This is a smart summer blockbuster, and you can be. And when we have so many movies like Transformers rampaging through the theaters, being able to see a movie like Rise of the Planet of the Apes that takes a real sci-fi idea and some real human ideas too, and uses them in a way that still manages to be just as entertaining to people who just want to see a blockbuster. This is a great achievement. This is a terrific movie in nearly every way. And well, one other thing I mentioned before, the references, and there's one reference that when you first hear it would just seem almost kind of like a grownish sort of, oh, that's an obvious reference. I can't believe they did that. But then, as soon as you see the payoff to that scene, you can immediately realize why they did that, and it's almost just about brilliant the way the movie handles the various references. I mean, every aspect of this movie is just well thought out, well handled, terrific. I mean, the action sequence, the action sequences are very well choreographed. They're photographed in such a way that you can actually tell what's going on, as opposed to scenes in movies like Transformers where the camera is swooping around so much and the editing is so choppy you can never tell where two characters are at the same time. Not only can you always tell where the various characters are and what they're doing in this movie's action sequences, you can always tell exactly why they're doing it, even if they don't never open their mouths to say why, or which helps it for us by the fact that they're all apes. The the acting by the performance capture artists, you can always tell what their emotions are, what their motivations are, and even though Caesar and one other ape in the movie can use sign language, they don't overdo that too much, and the way they do it is very well handled. I mean, this is a terrific movie. I dare say, even if you've never watched a Planet of the Apes movie before, you will enjoy this movie if you see it. If you like high concept science fiction, this is. I mean, and I have to think, if you're the type of person who normally walks out to movies immediately after the credits start, don't. This movie contains another great payoff during the credits, and not just at the very end like the Marvel movies, but this is near the middle of the credits. The way even the credits are handled is brilliant. This is probably going to be one of my favorite movies of the year, and if it's not, then the fact is 2011 will be a terrific year for movies of all sorts. See it, you will not be disappointed.